First Contact's Fury. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Outpost Titan had gone dark. Dr. Elena Santos stared at her terminal in the Lunar Observatory, her coffee growing cold beside her. In the past month, 3 other deep space colonies had similarly vanished, each disappearance preceded by strange energy signatures that defied analysis. Dr. Santos, her eye assistant's voice was unnaturally calm. "We're detecting similar energy patterns near Europa Station." Elena's hands flew across the holographic interface, bringing up live feeds. The void of space around Jupiter's moon rippled like disturbed water. Through the distortion, massive shapes emerged, ships of impossible scale, their surfaces a deep obsidian that seemed to devour light itself. Within hours, Europa Station's fate matched Titan's. The alien vessels left nothing but debris fields where thriving human colonies had stood. As humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, it was devastating, not with a message of peace or curiosity, but with methodical destruction. The United Earth Defense Council convened an emergency session. Admiral Chen Wei, her usually pristine uniform wrinkled from sleepless nights, delivered the stark assessment. These entities are systematically eliminating our outer presence. Their technology far exceeds our current capabilities. Traditional military response would be, she paused, ineffective. But something peculiar was happening in the aftermath of each attack. Survivors reported strange dreams, geometric patterns, alien mathematics, fragments of incomprehensible technology. Dr. Santos noticed it first in the brainwave patterns of rescued colonists. Their neural activity had changed, adapting to process information in entirely new ways. At first, it seemed like trauma-induced anomalies. Then a young engineer from the Titan evacuation, Sarah Chen, managed to activate a piece of recovered alien debris. Her brain patterns matched the new configurations exactly. "It's like I can see how it thinks," Sarah explained, her eyes distant. "Their technology, it's alive in a way. But rigid, unchanging. Perfect, but limited." Elena's team discovered that human neural plasticity, our ability to adapt and rewire our brains, was allowing some individuals to comprehend and interface with the alien technology. It was an ability the attackers clearly didn't possess. Their technological superiority was built on static, immutable principles. As the alien fleet methodically advanced through the solar system, humanity began to understand. These weren't just invaders. They were purifiers, eliminating what they saw as chaotic, imperfect life. Their perfect, crystalline minds couldn't comprehend the value of adaptation, of evolution, of change itself. They had no idea they were about to face a species that had survived and thrived precisely because of its imperfections, its ability to adapt, to learn, to evolve. The hidden strength. The underground research facility beneath the Atacama Desert hummed with activity. 6 months had passed since first contact, and humanity had retreated to Earth's inner sanctums. Sarah Chen stood in the center of the testing chamber, surrounded by salvaged alien technology. Her neural implant, a delicate mesh of quantum circuits, pulsed with a soft, blue light. "Ready when you are, Sarah," Dr. Santos' voice echoed through the speakers. In the observation room above, Elena watched through reinforced glass, her tablets displaying real-time neural activity data. Sarah reached out toward the alien artifact, a twisted piece of black metal that had once been part of the invaders' weapon systems. As her fingers made contact, her implant flared. The metal responded, its surface rippling like liquid mercury. "It's different this time," Sarah whispered, her voice tight with concentration. "I can see deeper into its structure. They built redundancy into everything. Multiple systems doing the same task, never changing, never adapting. But that makes them predictable." Elena finished, watching new patterns emerge in the neural data. "Their technology is perfect, but static. Like a crystal, beautiful, but inflexible." The discovery spread like wildfire through Earth's remaining scientific community. Humans with the right neural patterns could not only understand alien technology but improve upon it. Where the invaders built rigid, unchanging systems, human minds could imagine variations, combinations, entirely new applications. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, leading the research team in Tokyo, made the next breakthrough. Their ships, their weapons, even their communication systems, they're all based on the same fundamental principles. They never evolved beyond their original designs. But we can. The alien fleet had reached Mars, turning the red planet's colonies into debris fields. But their very effectiveness worked against them. Each destroyed outpost provided more salvage, more technology for humanity to study and adapt. Admiral Chen Wei stood before the Defense Council, her expression fierce. We've confirmed it. Their tactical patterns are as rigid as their technology. They attack in the same formations, use the same strategies. They're not adapting to our retreats because they can't conceive of the need to adapt. In research facilities around the world, a new generation of warriors was emerging. People whose brains could interface directly with hybrid weapons, human ingenuity married to alien technology. The invaders had expected to find primitive beings clinging to outdated machinery. Instead, they had awakened humanity's greatest strength, the ability to learn, to change, to take what exists and transform it into something new. Captain Miguel Reyes led the first successful counterattack, using a modified alien fighter. His neural link allowed him to push the craft beyond its original specifications, executing maneuvers its creators had never imagined possible. The alien squadron he encountered over the Arabian Sea never adjusted their formation, never deviated from their programmed responses. 3 of their ships were destroyed before they could compute a response to tactics that didn't exist in their database. They don't understand what they're facing, Miguel reported afterward, his neural implants still glowing. Every human pilot, every warrior, every engineer, we're all different. We all think differently, adapt differently. They're fighting a species that's had to reinvent itself countless times just to survive on our own world. Elena Santos watched the data pour in from the battle, understanding dawning in her eyes. The invaders weren't just fighting humans. They were fighting evolution itself. Every defeat, every lost ship, every piece of salvaged technology made humanity stronger, more adaptive, more dangerous. The aliens had sparked a war, unaware that imperfection, change, and adaptation were not humanity's weaknesses, but the very source of their strength. Earth's defenders weren't just learning to use alien technology. They were learning to transcend it. As reports of successful counterattacks multiplied, Helena remembered Sarah's first contact with the alien artifact. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were on the cusp of an evolutionary leap, forced into advancement by an enemy that couldn't comprehend the power of change. The war was far from over, but for the first time, hope wasn't just a dream. It was a calculation, backed by neural patterns that grew more complex with each passing day. The invaders had intended to purge an imperfect species. Instead, they had become the catalyst for humanity's next great transformation. Project Prometheus. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. James Morrison stood before a holographic display of Earth's defense grid. Hundreds of points of light represented the newly installed neural interface stations, humanity's answer to the alien threat. The quantum entanglement network is stable, reported Dr. Aisha Patel, her fingers dancing across multiple screens. Neural sync rates are holding at 97% across all stations. Project Prometheus had begun as a desperate gamble. If individual humans could interface with and improve alien technology, what could a unified network of linked human minds accomplish? The ethics debates had been fierce, but with Mars fallen and the alien fleet approaching Earth, there was no time for hesitation. The neural network didn't just connect humans to machines. It connected them to each other, creating a collective intelligence that maintained individual creativity and adaptability. Each participant contributed their unique perspective, their particular way of thinking, to a greater whole. Sarah Chen, now Director of Hybrid Systems, initiated the daily sync. Her consciousness expanded, merging with thousands of others across the globe. Through the network, she could feel the alien fleets approach, their ships' signatures translated into data that human minds could process and analyze. "They're still using the same attack patterns," she reported, her voice overlaying with others in the network. "But we're seeing variations in their shield frequencies. They're trying to adapt to our last counterattack." James watched the tactical display update in real time as the collective intelligence processed the information. How long did it take them to implement these changes? 3 weeks, Aisha replied, checking the data. "For us to make a similar adjustment would take hours. They're changing, but too slowly, too rigidly. Each modification has to propagate through their entire fleet." That was the key difference. The aliens' technological superiority was based on perfection. Each ship, each weapon exactly identical, operating on the same unchanging principles. Humanity's neural network was messy, chaotic, with each node thinking and adapting independently while contributing to the whole. The first test of Project Prometheus came sooner than expected. A squadron of alien ships broke through the outer defense line, heading for the South Pacific. Within seconds, the neural network activated. Hundreds of hybrid fighters launched from hidden bases, each pilot connected not just to their craft, but to every other defender. Captain Maya Rodriguez led the counterattack. Her consciousness merged with both her squadron and the greater network. As the aliens launched their standard opening barrage, the human fighters split into seemingly chaotic patterns. But there was order in the chaos, each pilot anticipating and complementing the other's moves in ways that would have been impossible for any conventional military force. The alien ships attempted to adjust, their crystalline processors calculating new targeting solutions. But by the time they had computed a response, the human squadron had already shifted tactics, attacking from new angles with unpredictable combinations of Earth-made weapons and modified alien technology. "This is how we win," Maya transmitted through the network as another alien ship erupted in silent flame. "Not by being stronger or more advanced, but by being what they can never be: unpredictable, adaptive, alive." In the command center, James watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and concern. Project Prometheus was working better than they had dared hope, but he could see the strain it put on the human pilots. The neural link was taxing, demanding not just concentration, but a piece of each participant's identity. "We need to rotate the squadrons more frequently," Aisha noted, monitoring the pilot's neural patterns. "The human mind isn't meant to maintain this level of connection indefinitely." Sarah nodded, still deep in the network. "But that's another advantage. We can swap pilots, change configurations, evolve our tactics. The aliens are locked into their patterns, but we can." She stopped abruptly, her neural implant flaring. Through the network, every connected human felt it. A massive energy surge from the alien fleet. Something was changing. The invaders were implementing a new strategy, one that defied their usual methodical patterns. "They're learning," James whispered, watching the tactical display shift. "Not as fast as us, not as flexibly, but they're learning." The war was entering a new phase. Humanity had proven they could fight back, could even win battles. But their very success was forcing the aliens to attempt something they had never done before, to change their fundamental nature. The question was, which species could adapt faster? The one that had evolved to embrace change, or the one being forced to abandon perfection for the first time in their history? The rising storm. The alien mothership appeared over Luna Base without warning. Its arrival shattered every prediction, every pattern the neural network had identified. Nearly a kilometer in length, its obsidian surface rippled with energy patterns never before seen in the invaders' technology. In the Project Prometheus command center, alarms blared as neural connections flickered. "They've weaponized their quantum field." Sarah Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "They're trying to disrupt our network." Dr. Morrison watched in horror as connection points began failing across the globe. The alien mothership was broadcasting some kind of counter-frequency, targeting the very quantum entanglement that made the neural network possible. It was an innovative tactic, exactly the kind of adaptation they had believed the aliens incapable of. "They're evolving," Aisha Patel said, her fingers flying across emergency protocols. "The pressure we've put on them, the losses they've suffered, they're actually changing their fundamental approach to warfare." But the aliens had underestimated humanity's greatest strength once again. As the quantum disruption spread, something unexpected happened. The human pilots and operators connected to the network didn't panic. They didn't break. Instead, they adapted. Captain Maya Rodriguez, leading the Lunar Defense Squadron, felt her connection to the network weaken. Rather than retreat, she switched to local mesh communications, linking directly with nearby pilots. "They think cutting us off from Earth will cripple us," she broadcast. "Show them how wrong they are." Her squadron demonstrated exactly what made humans different. Without the support of the global network, each pilot began innovating independently. They formed smaller, local networks, creating tactical plans on the fly. Where the aliens expected chaos and disorganization, they found dozens of smaller, more agile command structures emerging spontaneously. In the Atacama facility, Sarah Chen made a crucial observation. "Look at their energy readings," she pointed to the fluctuating patterns. "The mothership, it's not just disrupting our network. It's trying to establish its own. They're attempting to replicate our neural linking technology." James Morrison understood the implications immediately. "They've recognized our advantage, but they're trying to implement it their way. Rigid, controlled, perfect. They still don't understand that our strength lies in our imperfection." The battle above Luna Base became a testing ground for both species' ability to adapt. The alien mothership coordinated its forces with unprecedented efficiency, but its very perfection became a weakness. Every ship in its network responded to threats in exactly the same way, at exactly the same time. They had created a larger version of their existing problem, a perfect system that couldn't handle the unpredictability of human tactics. Maya's squadron proved this by launching what appeared to be a chaotic, uncoordinated attack on the mothership. Each pilot acted seemingly independently, their movements random and inefficient. The alien network, designed to counter organized assault patterns, couldn't compute effective responses to actions that defied tactical logic. "Impact in 3 seconds," Maya called out as her fighter dove toward a specific point on the mothership's hull. Her calculations, shared through the local mesh, had identified a potential weakness, a point where the ship's new network infrastructure interfered with its original defensive systems. The explosion that followed wasn't just physical. It created a cascade of failures through the alien network, their perfect synchronization becoming a liability as errors propagated instantly through their linked systems. The mothership's disruption field faltered, then failed completely. In the command center, the global neural network surged back to life. But it was different now, changed by the experience. The temporary isolation had forced each node, each human mind, to develop new ways of thinking, new approaches to connection and coordination. "We need to implement what we've learned," Sarah insisted, her neural implant pulsing with new patterns. "The smaller mesh networks, the independent tactical innovations, we can integrate them into the main system, make it even more adaptable, more resilient." James nodded, understanding. The aliens' attempt to neutralize humanity's advantage had only made it stronger. "They tried to evolve, to become more like us," he said. "But they did it their way, seeking perfection instead of embracing chaos. And that's why they'll never truly match us." As the mothership retreated, its perfect network in shambles, humanity began preparing for what everyone knew would come next. The aliens would try to adapt again, to find new ways to counter human unpredictability. But with each attempt, they moved further from their nature, from the very perfection they had sought to preserve. The war had become more than a battle for survival. It had become a race of evolution itself, between a species that had mastered perfection but feared change, and one that had turned imperfection into its greatest strength. Evolution's edge. 3 days after the Luna base battle, the alien signal came, not through conventional channels, but directly through the neural network. Dr. Elena Santos, working the night shift at the Atacama facility, was the first to detect it. "This isn't an attack," she announced, her voice trembling with realization. "It's an attempt at communication." The signal carried something unprecedented: emotional content. Fear, confusion, desperation. The perfect beings who had sought to purge humanity were experiencing doubt for the first time in their history. Sarah Chen and Dr. Morrison worked for 36 hours straight, developing a way to translate the alien thoughts into something humans could comprehend. What they discovered stunned everyone. "They're asking for help," Sarah explained to the Emergency Council. "Their attempts to adapt, to become more like us, it's causing a cascade effect through their entire civilization. They're experiencing random thoughts, unpredictable emotions. Everything they built their society on is starting to crack." Admiral Chen Wei leaned forward. "Are you saying we've infected them with humanity?" "In a way," Dr. Morrison replied. "Their neural network experiment didn't just fail. It introduced chaos into their perfect system. They're evolving, whether they want to or not, and they don't know how to handle it." The alien mothership returned to Earth's orbit, but this time alone. Through the enhanced neural link, humanity finally learned the truth about their adversaries. They called themselves the Axiom, and for millions of years they had pursued perfection. Each technological advancement, each expansion of their empire, had been another step toward their ideal of flawless, unchanging existence. "We thought you were a mistake," the alien consciousness transmitted, "a chaotic aberration that needed to be corrected. We never understood that chaos was the source of your strength." In the command center, Sarah interfaced directly with the alien mind. "Your perfection is killing you," she responded. "A system that cannot adapt cannot survive." Evolution isn't just about becoming better, it's about becoming different. The revelation shook both civilizations. The Axiom had achieved their dream of perfection, only to discover it was a dead end. Humanity's primitive adaptability, their embrace of change and imperfection, had proven to be the more advanced evolutionary strategy. But the story didn't end with simple victory. As the Axiom struggled with their unwanted evolution, humanity faced its own crisis. The neural network had changed them too. The ability to link minds, to share thoughts and innovations instantly across the globe, had accelerated their own evolution far beyond its natural pace. "We stand at a crossroads," Dr. Santos addressed the council. "We can help the Axiom learn to embrace change, to find a balance between perfection and adaptation. But we must also ensure we don't lose what makes us human in the process." The solution emerged from the most human of qualities: empathy. Through the neural network, volunteers began working with individual Axiom, teaching them how to handle uncertainty, how to embrace the beauty of imperfection. In return, the aliens shared their vast knowledge, their millions of years of accumulated wisdom. A new civilization began to emerge, not a perfect one, but one that understood the value of both order and chaos, of tradition and innovation, of stability and change. The Axiom learned to appreciate the fractal beauty of evolution, while humanity gained the wisdom to temper their adaptability with purpose. Captain Maya Rodriguez, speaking to a group of young pilots and their Axiom counterparts, summed it up best. "The universe isn't divided into the perfect and the flawed. It's divided into those who can adapt and those who cannot. True advancement comes not from eliminating our weaknesses, but from transforming them into strengths." The war that began with an attempt to purge imperfection ended with a profound understanding that the greatest perfection lies not in achieving an unchanging ideal, but in the endless dance of adaptation and growth. The aliens who came to teach humanity a lesson about perfection instead learned one about the power of change. And in the vast darkness of space, a new chapter began, one written not in the stark absolutes of perfect or imperfect, but in the infinite shades of possibility that lie between. The story of two species, once locked in a battle for survival, now partners in the greatest adventure of all, evolution itself.